I guess just kind of initial reaction to the Paul suspension, and I guess how to kind of replace him now going forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, disappointed for sure. Um, but hey, answer your second part of your question is those guys that have been playing this year. There's a bunch of them, and then we got to figure out who's going to replace some of the things he does and the positionally and defensively and shots and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's a number of guys there to do it. And that's where we are, and we've been in this kind of next man up mentality for quite a while, and we're gonna have to dig in and do it again.
Isn't there a difference between next man up when someone's injured, which is part of the game, and trying to get over something like this, or one of your team veterans makes them, kind of lets the team down?
It's different circumstances, but it doesn't change, that we got to go out and play the game tonight against an opponent, and we got to fill in his minutes, right?
Nick, have you talked to Paul about this at all?
I have.
How was the conversation like?
I'm not. I did just spoke to him, a little bit ago. I'm not going to share a personal conversation with you, but I mean, listen, he's still part of the team, right? You can't play the games. Still allowed at the facility and to practice and all that stuff. We're going to make sure that those things continue to happen. Get him back. I just told him, listen, we as with all our players, in dealing with this kind of stuff, you care about them, right? We're here to help them. The organization is in any way possible. And try to get past it as soon as we can, but get through it the best way we can, and then go from there.
Yeah, at a time like this, can you speak to the importance of a versatile veteran like PHLY?
Listen, I think that if you want to kind of divide up, the things that Paul does, right? One of the things he does is he scores a bit, right? There's shots there. Somebody's got to fill in and take those shots. I would imagine Kelly's kind of played that role for us a lot already. Would imagine, some of those shots, or a good portion of those shots, will shift back over to him or shift to him, however you want to put it. But I think it puts a number of guys in play here, and that's at least some guys we have some idea what they can do. I think we're still learning about some of them, but it puts Barlow, Walker, Watford, Edwards, McCain, Oubre, and I'm skipping Q. Like it puts a bunch of guys, and we got to kind of figure out who's going to filter where. And I think it's probably going to be like it always is. Who we playing? What do the matchups look like? Who's playing well at the time? What combinations look good together? And again, at least I think that all those guys I just mentioned have got decent amounts of minutes. I wouldn't say considerable, but decent amounts, and we kind of know what they are and where they're headed or where we'd like them to be or what role they can fill. So it starts tonight.
Paul, Nick, how would you describe Paul's tenure thus far? And I'm sorry about that, but it's like one of those things where he's missed a lot of games because of injury, and now this suspension comes up. I mean, how would you describe his tenure thus far?
Well, I think there's been a lot of circumstances that have been really unfortunate, but I also feel like he's played pretty well this year. Borderline very well, considering he's played such a critical role for us and kind of slotted in as a like a really good role player on this particular team. I think he's done what we've needed him to do. But I think there's been a lot of unfortunate things. Injuries, obviously. The team's whole situation last year, obviously. A couple injuries early this year to coming out of some stuff. So it's been unfortunate, but it's where we are.
He said on media day that last year was rock bottom, and then today he seemed to blame his mental health for taking these drugs. Did you get a sense that he was unhappy here in Philadelphia? Did he sense he was having any kind of issues that he would they would see.
Yeah, I'm not going to share anybody's mental health issues with anybody
Just
at
your general
all.
demeanor, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, I think he's been fine. Really, really fun to coach. Really good teammate. His got teammates really like him. I think showing some great leadership, and I think I think he's played well, and I think he's again slotted into a situation where he kind of sees, okay, listen, Tyrese is going here and Joel's coming back, and this is what I need to do, and I think he was doing some things at a really high level. Yeah.
How do you envision this might impact you guys with the trade deadline coming up? And how you sort of
Yeah, I don't know if it will at all. I think that probably remains to be seen here over the next few days. But again, I'll kick that up to Daryl and EB and Jameer to figure that stuff out.
Paul has been a guy that you've used a lot to stabilize lineups with, like VJ, for example, when he's running point and you guys are resting. I guess, what do you view? What's your first instinct on how do you bridge those lineups now? And is some of that staggering Joel and Tyrese more aggressively to?
Yeah, probably. That's probably one thing for sure. But I would like to. I mean, there's sometimes that saying that sounds great and really easy, and sometimes it's hard to do in a tough game and you're battling back and you're trying to get one of them off the floor and things like that. But obviously that's up there at the top of the list. But also I'm more probably, well, I'm equally interested in that and getting some other guys that we can find a groove with some certain lineups and sets and things to keep the scoreboard moving, right? Like we mentioned, what can Kelly do? What can Q do? What can Jared do? What can whoever, Trendon Watford do? What can some of these guys do to kind of replace some of that? And it's going to take a little bit of, I think, just connectivity with the right rotations and lineups and to be honest, some play calls and finding the matchups on the night that who can go get us a bucket. Yeah.
Last couple questions. Like for you as a coach, Nick, I know you've
Pardon me?
Even for you as a coach,
Yeah.
Nick, I know you've always said you kind of going up like this, and
Uh-huh.
it feels like you're going upward, and then again something else happens.
Uh-huh.
I guess how tough is it as a coach where it's just like, man, again, like something
Yeah.
else has popped up.
I mean that's always your first reaction. I think we've talked about that. I don't know how many times here, right? But you get the punch to the gut. But listen, I've got to lead the charge here, right? I've got to lead the charge of we got to pull our socks up a little tighter and tie our shoe. We got to get fighting and we got to get to work. And again, all those guys I just mentioned have to embrace this opportunity, right? And there's some guys there again. We've got some different positions and some guys that have shown some good play and all that kind of stuff. And here's a chance for them to do it again, and we'll go from there.
How do you deal with
Last question.
How do you deal with some of the uncertainty of the next week? Just with the guys and with the roster and just kind of going out because the West Coast trip, that's an important trip for you guys.
Yeah. First thing is we got to deal with the uncertainty of tonight's game. Like we gotta handle this thing. And again, that's not like I've been telling everybody around the building, stop talking about the West Coast trip. We'll talk about it in a few hours, right? We can all get ready and we got plenty of time to pack in the morning and all this stuff. So we got to take care of this business first. And then we got to, get on that plane and again, get ready to go. I understand those are some really good teams that are playing probably as good as they've played all year, some of them on this trip. But we're not afraid of them, right? We play good against good teams. Like we'll go out there, we'll be fine. Yep.